Hello everyone and welcome to this month's digital marketing training session. Today I'm going to talk about search engine optimization, or SEO as it's more commonly known. Here's a look at our agenda for today. I'm going to first go over search engines and how they work. Then I'll define search engine optimization and the benefits it can have for your business. I'll go over some SEO basics, strategies, and best practices, as well as mention some tools and resources so you can get started optimizing your website. Okay, so first let's define search engine optimization. To understand search engine optimization, you need to understand how search engines like Google, Yahoo, and Bing actually work. A search engine is a program that searches the internet for documents such as web pages, images, or PDF documents for a specific keyword or key phrase, and then returns a list of matching results. Search engines have two main functions. The first is to index all of the documents across the internet, and the second is to rank those documents based on relevancy to the phrase that's put into the search engine. To better illustrate this, imagine the World Wide Web as a network of stops in a big city subway system. Each stop is its own unique document, usually a web page, but sometimes a PDF, JPEG, or other file. Each path to get to the stop are links that you click on to take you to that stop or document. To keep the subway system running smoothly, a city will often have a traffic director. This is our search engine, our Mr. Google. He's responsible for keeping all maps and routes up to date so people can get to where they need to go as quickly as possible. He's also responsible for collecting all information about every stop so he can help people get to where they need to go. For example, around the hotel up there, he would know any roads or other landmarks that are nearby. On a search engine, the traffic director is called a crawler or a spider. Through links, the crawlers visit each stop or document. Once the engines find these pages, they next decipher the code from them and store selected pieces in massive hard drives that are to be recalled later when needed for a search query. This process is called indexing. The spiders are continually analyzing every possible path to determine which is the best one to take, that is, which one is the most relevant to the search engine user. When a person types in a search term, also called a keyword, phrase, or question, the search engines search their own databases to find related documents. Once it determines all of the relevant options, it ranks the websites by importance. How it determines what is relevant and important is based on the search engine's algorithm, which is a mathematical equation of ranking factors. In our subway situation, this would be like a traveler needing to get to that hotel up there. She would ask the traffic director the best way to navigate the subway system to get where she needs to go. The traffic director, in just a couple of seconds, evaluates all possible paths and finds the ones that are most relevant. So that eliminates the bank, hospital, and church. He knows that she doesn't need to go to those locations, and therefore they're not relevant. Then he ranks the paths on which ones are the most important, or which are the best solutions for the traveler. The traveler picks the first one, which gets them to their hotel quickly and efficiently. This makes the traveler happy, and in turn the traffic director is happy because he accomplished his goals, and he knows that other travelers will ask him for directions since they know he can be trusted. Now, our traffic director probably doesn't have enough time to visit every subway stop every day to update his information. So let's say each subway station manager can call the director directly to update them to new information such as investing in a faster train or a new business nearby. The act of the manager calling the director to inform him of changes to his stop is called search engine optimization, or SEO, in the search engine world. Through SEO, you can influence how the search engine ranks relevant websites. As a digital marketing strategy, SEO considers how search engines work, how people search for what they need, and which search engines their targeted audiences prefer. Optimizers then tailor their websites based on the search engine's ranking factors. However, the frustrating part of SEO is that search engines don't just willingly give out their algorithms. Instead, Google will give suggestions on how to improve your website so it ranks higher, but they won't actually tell you what the factors are the most important. To further drive home how this works, let's go back to our real-life example. Let's say the traveler tells the traffic director they're looking for the hotel, but they also want to stop at a coffee shop on the way there. Through search engine optimization, the manager at the subway station, currently showing as the second result on the search engine, tells the traffic director that they have a coffee shop nearby. The traffic director reevaluates all of his information again and reorganizes the best results for the traveler. And this is what we end up with. The stop by the new coffee shop is now the most relevant and useful to the traveler, so the traffic director suggests that route first. The stop to the left is also now more relevant, so it moves up to the second spot, and the station that was first has now dropped to third. Now that you understand how search engines work, let's talk about the benefits of search engine optimization. The most obvious benefit of search engine optimization is increased traffic to your website. People aren't going to get to your website if they can't find it. In fact, 85% of all traffic on the internet is referred by a search engine, and 90% of search users don't look past the first 30 results. Additionally, most of that 90% only views the first page of search results, and a whopping 1/3 of people click on the very first result. This is why it's important to master SEO tactics. You want your website to rank in at least the top 3 positions of any search engine. The next benefit is your return on investment. Whereas paid advertising costs money and has lower conversion rates, SEO only requires as much time as you want to dedicate to the process, and it offers higher conversion rates. Additionally, with proper SEO tools, you can get much more valuable information on what works and why people convert on your website. You don't have to sell a product on your website in order to track visitor behavior. Going along with return on investment, SEO is also cost effective. It targets people that are already searching for your product, so instead of wasting time cold calling people that aren't interested, you can focus on getting the interested people to convert. Additionally, organic listings don't cost a dime, and when you earn the positions in the right way, SEO keeps on giving. Paid advertising, on the other hand, costs money, and the traffic stops when you stop running ads. Focusing on SEO helps improve your website's usability, meaning it becomes easier for the customers to navigate. As you study the paths that visitors take, you can adjust your website navigation to help visitors and search engine crawlers find what they need to know. Being listed in the top 3 spots of a search engine means increased brand awareness. People will learn to associate certain keywords with your brand. Going along with awareness, people will also start to trust your brand more because they feel the companies in the top spots of the search engines are more trustworthy. SEO can also help you get ahead of your competition. You should question that if you're not in the top listing on Google, then who is? They're likely stealing customers that you could have. As you start to see increased traffic to your website, you're likely to see an increase in sales. Again, if people don't make it into your store, they can't buy your product. The same goes for the internet world. As I mentioned before, the results with SEO are permanent. While traffic stops when you stop paying for digital advertisements, you will continue to see results from SEO as long as your website stays ranked. Once you get that top position, it's difficult to lose it. And finally, you get a plethora of customer data. You can see which keywords led searchers to your websites, the path that they took on your website, whether they completed a purchase or not, and tons of other information. So now let's talk about the basics of search engine optimization. I'm going to start with some terms that you should know. First is keyword. A keyword tells the search engine what a web page or other document is about. It's also the word or phrase that a search engine user types into the search box. As explained before, the search engine matches the user's keyword to websites that are about the keyword and then displays the most useful and relevant results. Next is the SERP or Search Engine Results page. This is simply the page that displays after a search engine user enters a keyword. There are 2 types of search results, organic and paid. Organic are the natural results. These are the ones that you will find yourself with good search engine optimization. The other listings are paid results. These are advertisements that companies have paid for. The next term you need to know is metadata. This is the information on the back end of a website that tells the search engine spiders what the website is about. This information is also displayed in the search engine results. In the example above, you can see the meta description appears as the description in the search results. Another piece of HTML code you should be familiar with is the title tag. Like the meta description, this information appears in your search result. Another piece of HTML code you should be familiar with are alt tags. These are descriptions for images. When a spider crawls a website, it does not see the images. It only sees the code, so the alt tag tells the spider what the image is about. This helps with Google image searches, and it's an additional place to put more specific keywords. Another key to search engine optimization is understanding how people search. One of the most important elements to building an online marketing strategy around SEO is empathy for your audience. Once you grasp what the average searcher, and more specifically your target market, is looking for, you can more effectively reach and keep those users. I like to say build for users, not for search engines. When users have a bad experience at your website, when they can't accomplish a task or find what they're looking for, this often correlates with poor search engine performance. On the other hand, when users are happy with your website, a positive experience is created, both with the search engine and the site providing the information or result. So what are your users looking for? There are 3 types of search queries users generally perform. The first are do transactional queries, action queries such as buy a plane ticket or listen to a song. Then there are no informational queries, when a user seeks information such as what is the name of this band or what's the best restaurant in New York City. And then there are go navigational queries, search queries that seek a particular online destination such as Facebook or homepage of the NFL. When visitors type a query into a search box and land on your site, will they be satisfied with what they find? Now let's go over the basic elements of a good website that will help with your SEO. First is a design that is attractive to search crawlers. In order to be listed in the search engines, your most important content should be in HTML text format. Images, flash files, Java applets, and other non-text content are often ignored or devalued by search engine spiders, despite advances in crawling technology. The easiest way to ensure that the words and phrases you display to your visitors are visible to search engines is to place it in the HTML text on the page. In the example, we can see that the page is a barren wasteland. There's not even text telling us that the page contains the axe-battling monkeys. The site is entirely built in Flash, but sadly, this means that search engines cannot index any of the text content or even the links to the individual games. Without any HTML text, this page would have a very hard time ranking in the search results. Next is the title tag. The title element of a page is meant to be an accurate, concise description of a page's content. It is critical to both user experience and search engine optimization. Words in the title are bolded if they appear in the user's search query. This can help users recognize if the page is likely to be relevant to their search. The title for your homepage can list the name of your website or business and could include other bits of information like the physical location of the business or maybe a few of its main focuses or offerings. Every page on your website should have a unique title tag. I'll talk about proper formatting in the Best Practices section of this presentation. A good website also has meta tags, which are additional information about a website. There are a few main types. First is the description, which I mentioned before. Next are ones that tell the search spiders or robots what to do or not to do. Some examples are whether or not to even crawl the page, whether to include the description in a search result, or whether or not to save a cached copy of the page. Next are keywords or key phrases, which is one of the areas that you'll start to focus on. Other important ones are refresh commands, which sends the user to a new URL after a certain amount of time, and the Google Site Verification, which authorizes Google Webmaster Tools, which I'll talk about later. The next element is a good navigational structure. Clear navigation is important for both users and crawlers finding what they need. If a crawler cannot reach a page on your website, it cannot index it, and therefore it will not show up in search results. Next are crawlable link structures. These are friendly URL addresses. They display in search results on the address bar and are used as anchor text in documents. It should be clear what the URL is taking you to. So instead of a random string of numbers and letters, use full words that match the title, content, and keywords. Finally, and this is a big one, quality content. You need to create content that people want to read. This is the most important factor. Google's algorithm takes into consideration not only if the content is relevant to the keyword, but also if it's useful. The more your content is shared and visited, the higher the usefulness ranking will be. This in turn raises your site's authority and your organic ranking. Now let's get into some SEO strategies. Here once again is our digital marketing strategy that we will now apply to search engine optimization. Our first step is to define the goals. What is it that you want to accomplish with search engine optimization? Are you using it for raw traffic, branding, lead acquisition, e-commerce sales, reputation management, or just influence? Before you invest in the long-term SEO strategy for your business, you should carefully consider which of these are your main goals. As a business or organization, decide on what you need to accomplish and ask yourself questions like, does the company need direct sales, traffic, branding, or some combination of these? Are there influencers you're trying to reach with a message? Is the organization or brand subject to potentially negative material that needs to be controlled or mitigated? Or do you have products or services you sell either directly over the web or through leads established online? Once you have the answers, you can attack SEO with the right list of goals in mind. Once you've set your goals, you need to define your audience and its interests, as well as any target locations. Then you need to research keywords. Think like your customers. What would they search for that you could help them with? And you should also take a look at your competitors. What keywords are they using? What content do they have on their website that you could also write about? Once you've done all of your research, make a list of keywords and topics that you feel confident writing about and include on your website. Finally, if you haven't already, get a website. Carefully consider your URL and start designing with SEO in mind. The next step is to build your audience. As I'm sure you've figured out by now, most of this is up to the search engines. They need to index your website so they can add it to the internet directory. There are some things you can do to help though. You can submit your website's sitemap to Google so it can crawl it faster. You can also cross-promote. Let your friends and family know that you have a website, add your URL to all of your other marketing materials, send an email campaign, and post on social media. You can boost immediate traffic by paying for digital advertising. Don't just rely on people to find your website. Let them know that it's out there. And now you can get to the bulk of your work, creating content. There are pages that nearly every business has. Those are About Us, Contact Us, and Product Overview pages. Other commonly found pages are newsroom and social media link pages. You also want to start a blog, which I will talk about in a future training session. And finally, analyze your results. The best way to get this information is to sign up with Google Analytics and Google Webmaster Tools. These tools will give you all of the key metrics you need to know to help create content. You'll also want to keep key figures in a spreadsheet or some sort of report so that you can track your progress as you go. Now let's talk about how SEO plays into the sales funnel. Obviously, SEO is used to generate awareness. When people search, they can find your website. To increase awareness, you need to first develop your channel as discussed before, and second, cross-promote through other marketing channels including digital advertising. Tell everyone that you have a website. The interest level is where your free, unique content comes into play. Make sure your content is relevant and useful to the reader. At this point, you're fostering trust by creating relationships with the people that arrive to your website. Give readers a reason to continue coming back by offering valuable content. Valuable content is what will move your followers to the desire or conversion part of the funnel, and this is a critical moment. This is where you want to promote how you can help them solve their problem by offering something special, such as a free consultation, in exchange for their contact information. Here are some examples. In the top left and bottom right are examples for a free online consultation. The top right is an example for referrals, and the bottom left is an example for someone to sign up for emails. Once you have this contact information, you can officially consider that person a lead and reach out to them. The reader moves further down the funnel into the action category, and this is where you do what you do best. You sell. Schedule that web conference and show them how you can help their situation. Turn this lead into a customer. And lastly, analyze your results. Did you make the sale? Why or why not? If they just weren't ready to buy, make a note and remind them in 6 months that you're still there to help. Building a personal relationship helps turn the client into an advocate for your brand. You also want to try and follow the lead's path that led them to you. Ask them how they found out about you and why they were interested. Ask them if there was anything missing from your website that would have helped move the process along faster. Make notes and then create any suggested content to help capture even more leads. Now let's talk about some basic best practices and keys to success. You want to make sure you follow these guidelines. If not, you can actually find that your website will be penalized and completely removed from the search rankings. I'm going to start with each of the elements that I discussed earlier. When it comes to your design, be sure to include indexable content. If a search crawler cannot read the content, it won't index your web page. Assign the alt tags to all of your images. If you're using Flash or Java elements on your website, supplement that content with text on the page. And finally, if you have a video or audio, add a transcript so the crawlers can index that information. When it comes to the title tag, keep the length under 75 characters. Search engines will cut off text that's too long. Put the most important keywords to the front of the title and follow the optimal format. That's your primary keyword, dash, secondary keyword, vertical line, and your brand name. There's an example on the screen. You want to make sure you always include your brand name and consider the readability. For meta tags, it's easiest to start with descriptions and keywords. Once you have a good understanding of how to manipulate your code, then move on to the more complex tags that tell the robots what to do. Your description should be under 160 characters, and you should include 20 or under keywords. Also, be sure to proofread. When it comes to navigation, make sure it flows naturally and just makes sense. Also, use breadcrumb lists on every page. This shows the path that the user took to get to a particular page. Also with navigation, make sure you have an HTML sitemap for your readers and an XML sitemap for the search crawlers. This makes indexing faster and it makes it easier for the crawlers to tell when a new page has been added. Another navigation tip is to have a useful 404 page. A 404 page is the error a visitor gets when they try to go to a web page that doesn't exist. It's also called a page not found error. Include a link back to your home page and a form for people to submit the error to your webmaster. When it comes to your link structure, study the link and see if you can predict the content just by looking at the address. Keep it short and include keywords. Use hyphens to separate words for better readability. When it comes to content, you want to really think about how people will search to get to it. Use a good mix of keywords throughout your content. For example, I have 3 ways that someone might search for Major League Baseball's National League Championship Series. They could use the long form. True fans might use NLCS, and those more unfamiliar with the sport might search for baseball playoffs. Make sure your content is easy to read and stays on topic. As far as what to write about, try to think of topics that other sites do not have. Now for the rules. There are 2 types of SEO, white hat and black hat. White hat SEO are good practices. Black hat SEO are tactics that try to trick search engines. Using black hat SEO techniques are an easy way to find your website penalized and dropped from search rankings. Just simply follow the rules. Another best practice is to take care of your mobile website. Configure it so that it can be accurately indexed and report to Google that you have a mobile version of your website. Search results on mobile devices are different than those on desktop computers. Google will rank mobile-friendly websites higher on mobile searches. Next, make use of the free website SEO tools. If you do nothing else, get Google Analytics and Google Webmaster Tools installed on your website. This is how you will get all of your search user data. Google also has other helpful tools like Website Optimizer that allows you to run experiments on your site to increase conversion rates, and Google Trends, which will provide trending keywords for various industries broken down by location. Finally, follow some of the big names in the industry. These experts are the key to algorithm changes and SEO best practices. The last thing I want to mention are the tools and resources you can use to get started. I already mentioned Google Analytics, Webmaster Tools, and Optimizer. There are also a couple of beginner's guides on there. WordStream is great for keyword suggestions. To see how your page looks in a Google search result, use the Snippet Optimizer, and Microsoft has a free SEO toolkit that is really useful. So to review, What I want you to take away from today's training is that SEO helps you earn a higher ranking in search engines, which can result in more sales. You'll also gain valuable information about your customers. You should follow white hat SEO practices, which includes creating relevant and useful content. And once you gain that top spot in search engines, it will be hard to lose it. And to review what we covered today, you should know what search engine optimization is, how search engines and SEO works, the benefits of SEO, how to create an SEO strategy, and how that strategy fits into the sales funnel, some best practices, and some tools and resources to get you started. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment sections below. Thank you.